Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Laura Train Mama. Today we are having a look at one of the stories contained within the Thomas and Friends Annual for the year 2000. This story is called The Flood. It had been raining for days and days on the island of Sodor. The sky was dark and grey, and a cold wind blew. The ground was wet and muddy, and covered in puddles. Rain dripped from the leaves on the trees. The bad weather made everyone feel miserable. The drivers and firemen didn't like working in wet weather, and the passengers wanted to stay at home where it was warm and dry. Every evening, when the engines chuffed into their shed for the night, they were wet. Water dripped from their domes and funnels and buffers and ran down their paintwork. It made them feel cold and damp. All the engines were fed up with the rain, but Henry, the long, fast number 3 engine, was especially miserable. He doesn't like rain because he is very proud of his shiny green paint and gets upset when it gets wet and messy. "Oh, just look at my paintwork," said Henry sadly. "I usually look smart and neat, but now I look messy. Oh, I do wish the rain would stop." But the rain did not stop. Big drops drummed and rattled on the roof of the engine shed all night long. The noise kept waking the engines, and when Henry did get to sleep, he had a bad dream about his paintwork being dull and patchy. James, the red number 5 engine, had a bad dream too. The rain made his shiny brass dome all dull and brown and rusty. He didn't look like a really splendid engine now. It was still raining when Thomas chuffed out of the shed and hurried along his branch line the next morning. The river that runs by the side of his line was swollen with rainwater. The river was running really fast, and muddy water was lapping and slapping against the banks. "Oh dear," said Thomas's driver when he saw the river. "This is a big problem. If the rain doesn't stop soon, the water will get higher and higher. The river will burst its banks, and the fields along the line will all be flooded. The cows and the sheep will be in danger. The station will be flooded too, and that means we won't be able to look after your passengers. We won't be able to deliver goods either, and we won't be able to help get the men to work at the quarry." Thomas and his driver hurried back to the big station as fast as they could. Thomas's driver told Sir Topham Hatt, the Fat Controller, about the river. "You're right to be worried," said Sir Topham. "This is very serious, but I know what to do. If we all work hard, I think we can stop the flood and save Thomas's branch line." Sir Topham had all the engines and their drivers brought to the big station. "This is an emergency," he told them. "There is real danger that Thomas's branch line will be flooded. But if we all work together, I think we can stop the water doing any damage. Now listen carefully. This is what I want you to do." A few minutes later, all the engines set off, huffing and chuffing, puffing and steaming down towards the harbour as fast as they could. They stopped on the part of the track that ran along the beach. There, all the men jumped off and were soon busy with shovels, filling sacks and old mailbags with sand. The drivers and firemen dragged the heavy sacks of sand back to where the engines were waiting. As soon as the coaches were packed with sandbags, the engines set off, one by one, and steamed off as fast as they could to Thomas's branch line. Near the station, the men jumped off the engines again and pulled and dragged the sacks of sand to the riverbank. They piled them up higher and higher to keep the water in the river and stop it spilling over the banks and flooding on the land. The engines had a long, long day and worked very hard, but they were all glad to help, even Henry. He still didn't like getting his smart green paintwork wet, but he knew how serious a flood would be for Thomas's branch line and the whole railway. Sir Topham Hatt and all the railway workers worked hard too. At the end of the day, just as it was starting to get dark, he called all the engines together. It was still raining. "Well done, everyone," he said. "Thanks to all your hard work, I think Thomas's branch line is safe. The sandbags are holding the water back. It will be dark soon, so there's nothing else we can do tonight. Let's just hope the rain stops." Back in the engine shed, The men wiped the engines to dry them, then went home for a well-earned rest. The engines were still worried that the branch line might be flooded if the river burst its banks, but they had done all they could do to stop it. Thomas listened, worrying, as the rain still rattled and drummed on the shed roof. But at last, even he fell asleep, died out. Thomas was the last engine to go to sleep, and the first to wake up again next morning. He blinked, wide awake right away. Something was different, but what was it? Thomas listened hard. Peep, peep, he whistled happily. Wake up, Edward! Wake up, Henry and James! Wake up, Gordon! You too, Percy! What is it? Asked Percy, who was still tired after all his hard work the day before. Listen, said Thomas. It's the rain. The rain has stopped. The river won't break its banks and flood the fields and the railway track. My branch line is safe. The engines all felt very pleased. Thomas yawned sleepily. I'm still a bit tired, he said. I hope we aren't as busy today as we were yesterday. It was very hard work bringing all those sandbags from the beach. I think we deserve a rest. Edward smiled at Thomas. I don't think we'll get a rest today, Thomas, he said. Now that the rain has stopped, the water in the river will go down again, and we'll have to take all those sacks of sand back to the beach. Oh no, said Thomas. Peep, peep. But his branch line was safe, so he didn't mind really. That brings us to the end of the story, The Flood. What did you think? Let me know, and have a great day.